Hey guys, welcome to our science class. I know for the past few days we have not been able to interact as much or do any for work, and that's because I had tonsillitis and I'm recovering. But starting today, we are back. So we are actually going to focus a little more on weather, but we are going to actually talk about weather forecast. What exactly does weather forecast mean? How exactly are people able to predict what weather we might have today or later tomorrow? And that's what we're going to try to learn. Now, you all probably have probably seen the evening news and the weather forecast on the evening news. And the news is good. There's no rain in sight. But how can the weather forecasters actually tell you that it's not going to rain? And just because they told you that it's not going to rain doesn't mean it's never going to rain? Or is there not even a 1% probability that it might rain? That's what we're going to try to figure out. So weather affects everything. It affects the way we dress, the way we plan our day, the way we plan our trips. So it's very important for us to have an accurate weather forecast. But where exactly do we get this information? And how do weather forecasters predict the weather? Now, a weather forecast is actually a prediction of weather conditions over the next few days, let's say about 3 to 5 days. Now, I'm going to try and show you what it looks like on my phone. So if you see here, I have the weather forecast for about the whole week, about the next week, on my phone right here. Now, this is a weather forecast, right? Now, the person who actually observes this data, who observes the weather to give us this forecast, is known as a meteorologist. They collect data on the atmospheric conditions and they use this data to make predictions on what weather might be like for the next few days. And there is a lot of technology that kind of goes into this process. To accurately forecast weather, obviously, meteorologists need to be on a constant lookout for the atmospheric conditions. And these atmospheric conditions can include several points to be on the lookout for, like air pressure, humidity, temperature, wind speed, wind direction, precipitation, and if you guys remember, all parts of the water cycle. So these are all things that meteorologists need to be look on the lookout for. They use special instruments to collect data, and on both near the surface of the earth and also further up, further above the surface of the earth. Now we have called a weather balloon. Okay, so weather balloons are literally these huge balloons that can carry weather equipment and they can go high above the surface of the earth. Some of them can go up as high as 30 kilometers above the surface of the earth, and they carry the equipment that is needed to kind of figure out the atmospheric conditions in that area, and it can measure several things like temperature or air pressure or relative humidity, and by tracking these balloons, a meteorologist can actually also measure the wind speed and direction, like in which direction does the balloon go to, or how fast does the balloon go. These are things that meteorologists kind of note down to kind of form that data and form that conclusion and make that prediction about the weather. Now, as you all know, we have a thermometer, right? And thermometer is something that you use to measure the air temperature, right? And most thermometers actually use a liquid sealed in a narrow glass tube. And in most cases, it's mercury, right? And when temperature increases, it expands. The liquid expands and it goes high and moves up the glass tube. And that tells us how hot it is or what the temperature is. And as the air temperature um, goes lower, the liquid or the mercury in the tube kind of shrinks or kind of moves down the tube, and that also tells us how lower the temperature is. And we also have something called the barometer. Now, barometer is something that is used to measure the air pressure. If air temperature is measured by thermometer, air pressure is measured by a barometer. And finally, we also have something to measure the wind speed, not the temperature, wind speed. and that is known as an anemometer. Okay, so just to summarize, air temperature is thermometer, air pressure or atmospheric pressure is barometer, and wind speed is anemometer. Okay? Now, when we are talking about the barometer, it is actually a mercurial barometer that we're talking about. It consists of a glass tube that is sealed on one end, and placed in a container full of mercury. Okay, and as the air pressure pushes the mercury inside the container, that's how we kind of try to figure out what the air pressure in our atmosphere is. The mercury, when the air pressure kind of pushes it up, it obviously moves up the glass tube. And the greater the air pressure is, the higher the mercury will rise in the glass tube. And as we know, anemometer is something that we use to measure the wind speed. It kind of looks like a bunch of satellite. I mean, it's not exactly an accurate word, but I will show you this, what it looks like in our live sessions. It's connected, it looks like a bunch of cups that is connected to a pole. And as it kind of is like a cup, right? So it's hollow. It's hollow. So when the wind moves, it kind of like helps it rotate, and the faster it rotates, it kind of tells us the motion sends a weak electric current, and that is measured and displayed on a dial, and that kind of helps us to understand what speed the wind is traveling in. And that is what we're going to learn about today. And I will see you guys in our live Zoom sessions. I hope you have a great day. Bye.